Alright guys, you'll be able to hear us. I've just got the bracket screen up for a moment because I forgot to actually set this to edit command brackets as I hop down all over the place and but yeah, as we can see here, Impact versus Keen. Impact advances, Keen falls, but that's okay because it is a group stage, so a couple of extra lives and we will see Keen a little bit later for the losers match. Also, congratulations to Hathston, who won a sub gift here from BaseTradeTV. I asked what the secret link of the day was in the BaseTradeTV tweet, and he identified that it was not just a cat, but of course for everyone to know, it's my cat. And the best part is that link links to a site Bobble Convolute, one of our mods set up, and basically every time you go to that link, it's a different random picture of my cat. He's been collecting pictures I tweet of my cat for the last like 2 years, and there you go. It's the greatest website of all time, in my honest opinion.
Aww. It's so cute.
But yeah, I'm actually really excited for more sub-gifting. Even if it's like almost technically buying like another emote slot, I'm hoping this will help us climb to the next emote slot unlock. Ooh, that was a mouthful. As we are now at 1,192 sub points out of 1,400. So, still got a ways to go, but I feel like we do a couple of sub gifts here and there each stream. Some natural subs come in too. I think we can make good stuff happen. But guys, do me a favor, if you haven't already, you've just moseyed into the stream for the first time, or maybe you don't watch that often, hit the follow button on the stream. We're kind of pushing past our goal. I was doing this before. If we wanted to hit 100,000 followers before the end of 2017, we'd need like 60-something followers a day. Then we got like 400 followers yesterday, which helped upset the numbers a little bit. So we're at 24 new follows. I think the new number we're supposed to hit is like 57 or something. Someone else could probably do the math and be more precise than me, but yeah, hit the follow button if you haven't so we can keep climbing this ladder to that 100K mark.
That'd be awesome. Man, every time they say catalyst, they always say cattle.
Looks like really Catalina. Excited. I was about to ask, like, is Catalina still in the map pool? I'm pretty sure it's not.
I always get excited. Feels bad. Oh well, we're about ready to go. I've done all the Lidos.
All right, let me join off the lobby here. Oh, I don't know how to take this message. I'm gonna read this though. Because this is not like a positivity message, but it's a message nonetheless that I guess I can appreciate. I'm not going to say who wrote it for fear of people chastising them, but it says, I've been a big critic of yours over the years, but seeing the numbers that your Star League pulled in recently made me feel a lot differently than I normally do. I can't say I respect your demeanor or the way you handle the community issues sometimes, but I do respect how much time and effort you put into the scene. There's no way around saying it. StarCraft is better with you than without you. I still think you need to calm the hell down, but overall I'm happy you love the same game that I do. So here's the thing, right? That is not like everyone's like, oh, we need to spread positivity and stuff. I will take that message. That message for me actually stands out because A, it means like, okay, you don't love Rifkin, but you love BaseTrade, and that sometimes is good enough, but oh, it's better than 90% of what I get, so I'll take it where I can. And I bring this up because along with recent trends here of the whole will we continue StarCraft into 2018 or won't we questions, which for those who don't know have been answered, we are doing StarCraft into 2018. It felt like it was only on the brink of possibly leaving people took the time to write stuff like this, whether it's positive, well obviously more positive than this, or something kind of just moderate as such. I will say this though, not for our sake guys, because I've learned to live without any praise, right? That's just the nature of StarCraft. Whether it's us or any content creator out there, even a message like that, which is not brimming with positivity or the happiest thing you've ever read, can go a long way to making somebody feel better about the content they produce. So I will say kudos to this person and thank you for the message. But we got some subs to shout out too because we forgot to do that during the break. We'll do it in a moment because we got to introduce the players' brand new best of 5 for the TING Open Season 4. To the top left, we have the second and last Terran remaining in the tournament so far, the blue Terran, Joshy.
I mean, Keen's still in it, but not looking great. In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, he is Hurricane.
For those who haven't seen the other groups, by the way, it's all Zerg and Zerg and Protoss in the round of 8 already. So Joshy and Keen are literally our only hopes to see Terrans in that round of 8. So whether it's Joshy or whether it's Keen, I'm crossing my fingers for both.
Yeah, I do feel like Joshy has a much better shot, considering that he did have a bit of a... I mean, he had a good performance at Home Story Cup. It was still a very difficult tournaments with a lot of, like, big names, and also the patch being, like, literally brand new, like, so brand new, wasn't even live then, right? It's only just not live now. But he has a bit more experience in competitive setting than Hurricane with this patch, and he got to talk to a lot of people about the, you know, difficulties of this matchup in particular that perhaps gives him a little bit more insight. TY was doing okay against Protoss, but he did end up losing to Trap yesterday before we even got to see him, so that's why I really emphasize okay. I wonder if Joshy has anything smarter or better in mind here against Hurricane.
Well, so for me, a lot of these new maps also are a little bit scary to consider for these folks on the new patch. Like, there's the danger of stalkers, there's the gross chrono boosts and all these things, but I still think the worst losses we've seen were on, like, Neon Violet Score with the back base. And things where just, like, the map was clearly not something the players were comfortable with, right? And I guess Catalyst is a nice one. It's not a weird one, but that's just my biggest concern. Seeing the new maps picked right away gives me a little bit of pause.
I love it. I so prefer it. I really am sick of Ascension to Higher in particular, but Abyssal and Odyssey are okay.
I'm actually, so Ascension would be my second most I'm sick of. It would definitely be Odyssey for first. I know people are bored of Abyssal, but I feel like unlike Overgrowth and some of the other overplayed maps, Abyssal presents a lot of really cool gameplay.
Abyssal just hasn't reached... I feel like if it wasn't... Because this is its third season, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it went to a fourth season, one more season, I think I'd be really sick of it, basically, whatever season it is.
I love this with the Reaper, by the way. No Mothership Core to worry about, so you actually do get some longevity if there's not an Adept to stop you, and well, frankly, we're not seeing a lot of Adepts anymore. It's all about the Stalker game. And you can outrun a Stalker and outmaneuver it a lot easier. And Catalyst, we had talked about this yesterday on the stream. It does have a little back gate for the little cliff face. So the Reaper does get out of there. Nice lineup, though. Even though he does block out the Hellion, the probes unfortunately line up for the other one perfectly. Oh my gosh, this is going pretty well for Joshy.
That pulled onto that one mineral patch was so dangerous. 11 probes for 2 Hellions is really good. And the Reaper got back in and got another probe, so 12 in total.
Wow.
Is fantastic start for Joshy.
And he's not done yet. He's bringing Widow Mines, even though they've been nerfed and tweaked a little bit. Gonna try and do some damage with these. For those who don't know how the new Widow Mines work, they still do the same damage, same burrow speed. The only key difference is they are only after having shot their payload revealed. But without an observer out, even that might not be too big of a problem to deal with.
Yeah. And that's why I still, you know, again, like Widow Mines were never really about the second or third shots for me. Like, you either get the first shot or you don't. And it's hopefully good. And with the, you know, rise of the Robo Opener now being actually just simply the standard of this matchup, the Observer should always be in place. Because it's not just a Robo. Like this, yeah, exactly. The standard of Protoss right now is getting 5 or 6 and really just blanketing the map.
Oh, I love the readjustment. The target fire would have picked off a very weak count of probe kills, but brings up another 5. Yeah.
The one downside, I think the biggest downside of the Widow Mine of reeling itself is that during high, like, tense games, one Widow Mine drop to the back does typically get more than one shot, and now probes can take care of it, which before they really couldn't.
So a couple of very important things just happened there on the backside of this. First off, he scans and kills the Observer, which is nice. There wasn't a bunch of Observers pumped out immediately because he went for the faster Warp Prism to pair up with, I guess, Blink and Dark Shrine. And Hurricane doesn't actually have that God Mode vision that we've been watching Stats and Zest and others do. And I really think, and I said this during the cast yesterday, so I'm just going to back myself up by saying it again, the power didn't come from the units in the patch. It's not Stalkers or OP, it was the vision and seeing everything coming with 5 Observers in stationary mode.
I'm not sure I can agree with that entirely. That definitely was helpful, but damn, like they took engagements that didn't matter. Like they both knew where the armies were, and the engagements still went so differently than they would have in the previous patch. Blink Stalkers are simply more powerful than they used to be. They do have Blink, but 2 tanks covering a handful of Marines, a little too scary.
Looks like Widow Mine went back in for round 2, by the way, picking up 4 more probe kills. Pretty nice to see.
Mm-hmm. But this is when, like, you know, Hurricane doesn't have Observer back there, or, you know, doesn't have a Stalkers back there. Probes actually take care of it. This is, like, the biggest difference for me in the Widow Mine. Still got enough, though, I think, to be worth 75 minerals, 25 gas.
I really like that Joshy is taking this very seriously, though. He's not only got missile turrets up, it's also going to give him detection for these DTs. He kept that tank mobile because he didn't know whether the attack was coming in the natural or the main. He's had a lot of SCVs pre-pulled, kind of losing some mining for it, but that's where mules end up coming back into play.
Well, I do believe one of the, not easiest, but it's just like so much more obvious how to defend against a dedicated attack. He knew it was on 2 bases. He knew there was Blink Stalkers. He already had some preparation, and then he realized what was going on. He just added more preparation. Defending your 2 bases as Terran is probably the easiest thing that a Protoss is gonna give you. It's those engagements we saw in the middle of the map that went haywire, which is the big difference.
This is bad. Actually, this is very bad. So there's drops that didn't get scouted heading down to the main, where there is an Artosis pylon and no shield battery. That's the key element I'm noticing. No shield batteries.
This is gonna be bad. Hurricane can recall. But as his units get pounced upon, yeah, I mean, so the recall itself, when it gets back to the base, is very fast. But now would be a perfect opportunity since Joshy stopped chasing them.
One DT's heading towards the main. We'll see if the recall actually comes into play. Scans the DT, sees those warp ins, focuses down that pylon, big deep power, and that's going to stall out charge, which is going to be huge.
The Immortal is targeting a Marine that's just not dying. There we go.
Yeah, the Marauder got free fire on it.
This is really taking away all of Hurricane's attention. He's going to lose both medevacs to the Stalkers, but Joshy has successfully gotten to the 3rd base. Will his tanks be powerful enough to keep this position? Meanwhile, he lost a couple SCVs to a Warp Prism. Not nearly as much as the probes, though.
I like the tank on the low ground. Both of them being on the high ground was a bit of a problem, so the Stalker's just blinking on top of it, but he loses all the Stalkers. That's his fodder, too, for that Immortal. If the Immortal falls, there's no way to stop this attack.
That might just stop you anyways. Hurricane desperately needs more gateways. He's only on 3. GG.
And the ones he had were depowered too by the attack, so well played out of Joshy. From the Hellion Control to the Widowmine Micro, he handled that very well for the opener. I take back what I said about Hurricane. I'm officially Team Joshy. He won me over in 1 game.
Well, the Hellions getting so much early game damage really did help. I feel like Hurricane's not going to let that happen again.
Well, we'll get into game 2 here in a moment. What is the Ascension Ire? Okay.
Yeah, super lame.
Yeah, super unoriginal, boring. But sorry, I tried to keep this out of the game because you guys were discussing a lot in chat. People are reading way too much into that message I read out. Trust me, guys, from all of the messages I've received over the years, that was not a bad message. And anyone who thinks that it was like you're just being overly critical, if we're gonna be honest, I think criticism is perfectly fine and healthy, and anyone who ignores criticism is just setting themselves up to either have like a big ego and fail or something like that. And there was a really dumb comment in chat too. I can't remember what exactly it was. Something like Rifkin's less mad after losing weight or something. The reality is I'm never mad. A lot of people, like, they view actions I take to the public as being something done out of passion and anger and emotion, when really it's like, hey guys, here's this thing that we calmly, rationally justified because we have rules and somebody broke a rule, so, you know, we're gonna follow up with our own rules. There's never anger and emotion involved with these things. And it's just like these assumptions people make, like, oh, that was a bad message, or Rifkin gets mad, or X or Y. Like, these are the unhealthy things that I wish weren't part of our community. The assumptions people make like that.
Ready?
I am. I've actually got the intro queued up and everything. So see you guys here in game. Welcome back to game number 2 here for the TING Open. This is best of 5, and of course this determines who goes through to the winners match and who will fall to the losers. LTSC was asking about our headsets. I'll note really quick, our microphones are not the ones on our headsets, just so everyone's aware, but we are using the wireless Void Pros from Corsair. Shout out to them, our sponsors. And they're quite comfy and awesome, and the battery life is good for something that's wireless. So you can, of course, click on the link down below if you want to learn more. But the title sponsor of this tournament is TING. We got to give them some love. TING is a I guess... I don't want to steal the phrase here, but like Philip DeFranco actually phrases it pretty well. They're a no BS phone service. Like, they want to be transparent. They want to try and save you money. If they can't, they'll tell you don't use their services. They're for people who don't use a lot of data. Maybe you're on a family plan or something like that. Like, it's really great, low cost, good services, but it's not about the data. Either way, you can go to bttv.ting.com to learn more. Save yourself some money each month with your phone bill being reduced, and get $25 in credit just by going to the link. So, potentially try a full month of Ting for free on us. That's spawning here in the top left. It's the Red Terran player, Joshy.
In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, it is Hurricane. So, Joshy gets away with a couple of early probe kills. I don't think it's gonna happen again.
I don't know about the Hellions. Yeah, that's up for question and debate. But the Reaper was impressive and surprising to me for a couple of reasons that I guess shouldn't be so surprising. But like not having the mothership core, it's been a year of being apprehensive about your Reaper usage because the mothership core timing usually pops out, and if the overcharge doesn't kill it, its auto attack does. Now there's no mothership core. You actually have a little more freedom. The Adept can even be outran, so that's not even a huge issue either.
Yep. We have a Stargate opener, so I was wondering why I got the Adept, not the Stalker. Without the mothership core as a necessity, that is a lot of gas that is freed up for other things, and minerals too, like a Stalker. But if you're going to go for one of the fastest Stargates possible off of 2 bases, then that is still pretty tight, and you can even see if you really fall on the build, like you really needed those extra bits of gas. So the Adept, maybe it goes across the map to scare Joshy, but it is just going to be, I have to wait for it to be paired up with another Adept to even be scary at all.
Reaper gonna start grenade down and go die. But he did see the Stargate, so this was still a good scout from the Reaper. And this, you know, for me, going back on the apprehension from before, the stigma of the mothership core and all these things actually made it sometimes near impossible to scout. Now, even if you're not getting those 8 probe kills or anything, you're still getting in there for a scout, I think, a lot easier than you were in the past, and that's kind of cool to see, too. Inadvertently, I guess the Reaper gets a little more job prospect in the new patch.
Well, it still has the one job, I suppose. But it's a safer job, maybe? Like, I definitely prefer... I mean, obviously, very biased being a Terran and all, but it was always a little bullshit, that one overcharge that wouldn't be needed after, by the way, which is, like, the extra, like, obnoxiousness about it. Could be used to deny scouting entirely. Yeah. I like actually getting a scout not dying to a proxy oracle or something, right? But anyways, this oracle was scouted thanks to the Reaper. Regardless of the motion core being available, and I think it still would have gotten the scout. And the oracle is going to be taken care of.
Zerganism in chat says, is Neeb part of Ting or something? And the answer is yes. Ting, actually, it's kind of funny. Our very first tournament we ever ran with Ting, since I guess there are some people who still might not know this story. I know we've told it more than a dozen times on stream. But when we sat down with Ting in their offices, discussing in person, like, about the very first season of Ting and the potential of running it and how cool it may or may not be, it was myself, Zombie Rob, and Scarlet, and Jesse, who some of you have gotten to know as the representative from Ting, just kind of like, so if we were to, like, pick up a player for StarCraft, like, who would you guys suggest? And we all said Neeb, not really expecting that Neeb would frankly have the year that he did, but we knew he was a good player that was underrated at the time. So yeah, Neeb got picked up for Ting right around the same time we started working with him on tournaments. Bit of a cause and effect, and it's kind of cool too to see his success and frankly the tournament's success. Ting has had a lot of success through StarCraft 2, and to, I guess, brag a little bit, they've tried other games. They invested in Ghost 2 Gamers for Overwatch. They did Heroes and did some project with Chanman, I think, for Hearthstone or something. I don't actually know what the details on that one was, but like the point is, supposedly to date, we're still the most successful thing because nobody else has like a season 2 of Ting, and we're on season 4, baby.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well. This is actually a very quick attack. It's gonna have stim. These 2 tanks are gonna be in a, well, actually one tank's in a really good position. The other one's gonna be a little more dangerous. Nicely done.
Very well handled. He's also going to be taking out the shield batteries before they finish. This is big, because shield batteries are pretty ridiculous for defending. This pounces so quickly. Those tanks are so out of position. Blink's nowhere close to done. Hurricane doesn't really have a way to get on top of these tanks. And even if these aren't shooting units, the tanks are pressuring the Nexus, meaning Hurricane's the one who has to come to Joshy, not the other way around.
There's a big difference in this game to some of like the Zest games perhaps that we saw yesterday, and that's Hurricane going for what was a fairly greedy third base, right? He actually opened Stargate instead of pressuring on two bases with Blink Stalkers, which is what Zest, for the most part, always did, I want to say. And he was pushing away these tank pushes almost with ease. But Joshy either just correctly identifying the opener and what would happen, hitting this perfect timing, or maybe he got lucky, hoping it's the first one. Did really good damage, kills the third base, gets a couple of units on it, and backs away with most of his alive.
The fact they got the tanks out is definitely impressive. But the Stargate opener is going to lead to some questions. We have discussed many times now about the observer dynamic. Not having 5 or 6 observers on the map means less vision, but at the same time, if you're casting Revelation on the Terran army, you don't need those observers necessarily. So some interesting, very different play than we've seen in the last couple days over the Elima League and the BTSL. Also,
I think what's... Oh, go ahead.
No, madam, after you, please.
No, I was going to talk more about just like the interesting differences of Zest and Hurricane here. Hurricane really feels like he's playing the same TvP this game and hoping Stalkers with their buff are like a little bit better. You know, opening up with Stargate, going into 1 forge with a charge. This just is actually a credit to Zest for not just abusing the patch for sure, but also just showing like that he's a smart player. He's actually using the patch for what it is to make it look really overpowered, where Hurricane not so much.
Yeah, well, this is a good versus bad player argument we've talked about for a while, where it's like the good players will adjust and try new things immediately, and the bad players will, I shouldn't say bad, but the less good players will sit there and get stuck on old builds and not try new things.
The less good. Yeah.
Because it's right. They're not bad. Hurricane's not a bad player. There's no way to paint that, but it's like less good than Zest.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But Joshy did just make a fatal mistake there, going to 2 medevac drops in the main base. Stalkers were waiting. That's a lot of supply that he just lost.
Yeah. However, with his +1 and picking up a couple zealots, he helps, I guess, bridge that gap. I was just going to mention, we'll do sub shoutouts here because somebody was asking for it. We did have some people sub during the commercial break earlier, actually, so my bad, I forgot to do that. But also, adding on the fact that myself, and I guess Jibby joining in on this, is doing some sub giveaway stuff today. So if you guys want a sub gift from Jibby, all you got to do is whisper him why you love BaseTradeTV, and I think that's cool. So shoutouts to Jibby. And then for me, I'm just going to be picking people, plucking them out at random through the cast. If you say something funny, you say something nice, I don't know. Promoting positivity here.
Very good then. So Hurricane, he lost that third base. He lost a couple of units, but not like all of them. Is recovering nicely here. Getting those 2 medevacs in the main was really, really good. Now even going on to a 4th base, still at a decent timing for this matchup. Joshy has kind of lost momentum by doing that drop and having it fail so hard. But he is going up into a decent number of Liberators. This is a very smartly placed turret. Can't believe that actually worked.
Well, either way, that'll be a nice setup for the 4th base, I guess. Excuse me, later on. I'm not a fan of seeing Liberators, just because I feel like they were taken care of really well before by Stalkers. However, with Hurricane not having that big of an army, this might actually have a place in this particular game.
You're gonna need to restart Discord.
Okay, well, we'll get that figured out in a moment. Because right now we have a lot of action going down in the middle of the map. Liberator's setting up, but those storms didn't hit much of anything. Not many medevacs to heal if storm does connect, but Zealots charging right into the liberation zones.
Hurricane's just a little disjointed. Like half of his army's in one location. Couple zealots over here that did a nice amount of damage, but then some units in the natural base, not in the main. He's warping in, actually might have been a bad idea. They get almost instantly KO'd.
The liberation zone set up on the ramp like this, those Templar are not going to get up here for storms anytime soon. It's got a free range to depower everything. Oh god, 3 gateways down. He's trying to reach for those storms, barely can. Stalkers come up, but oh, there's so many Marauders waiting for them. He's turning away from his own ramp.
This is a very dangerous territory. Hurricane got caught in definitely an awkward position. Stalkers do blink forward, though. Take out the Liberators pretty quickly. Josh just tries to get out what he can, but more Liberators on the 3rd base. A little bit dangerous, leave them mostly alone here, but he's going to try and keep this position, deny mining.
I mean, he picked up 15 probe kills already. That's not too shabby. Base to the north is a little bit to defend, but not much either. And these medevacs to the main didn't actually fully retreat. They just backed away briefly. So Hurricane now brings his army forward to deal with the Liberators. Storms are alright, but the Liberators are getting a lot of kills here. Templar are even going down.
That Psych move has actually taken out a couple Protoss now in the last 3 days. It's Colossus trying its best to help. Colossus was changed, but there might not be a lot of time to talk about it as jjakji is still doing damage. I think finally Hurricane has cleaned him up, but losing the third base once again.
Well, some semblance of a counterattack finally happening here in the main. Zealots are, well, Widowmined down pretty quickly, and this attack loses all of its momentum already.
I mean, again, Hurricane, look at the supply. It's not that bad. He fell behind a little bit on the upgrades, but not that much. It's going to finish in like 20 seconds here. Liberators were lost in that engagement as well, so down to 4 again, and trying to get to Vikings now since he saw the Colossus.
I do like that there's so many medevacs still around, actually. I think at this point you can't really afford to go just pure Vikings or pure Liberators because you've been having these sniped off by the Stalkers or picked off and missed here. Like, 5 medevacs is actually a weirdly large number considering these are all the same medevacs from the course of the game.
Yeah, it was the first who really that went down. So I guess we do have a bit of time to talk about the Colossus changes. Their initial range is bumped up 1 by 1, but the extended thermal lance is bumped down by 1. So roughly equating to the same thing you do extended thermal lance as the previous patch. And then extended thermal lance was also decreased in cost. And I think that covers it. There's a surprising number of changes to the Colossus, but it wasn't anything like damage related, I'm pretty sure.
You know what's hilarious? Stalker damage versus light, like the bonus damage they have, is as much as Stalkers deal normally. 21, oh gosh. Anyways, now that I'm mad, the Colossus goes down, everything melts, and even with some awful damage from storms, I don't think there's enough to stop this snowball. Joshy with double the army supply, picks off the Templar coming from the north. There's a small attack set up here with Zealots, but they're not going to get anything done. Not if it comes down to a race of things, which Joshy would certainly win. This depot's been unfinished all game. I'm actually so tilted by this.
Well, it's about to die.
Is it?
No? Oh. Yes? No?
No!
SCVs.
Stupid SCVs. Stasis traps being triggered. I like this move. Joshy keeps seeing these. He's actually handled the stasis traps really well this game.
Yeah, that was...
God. I forgot Templar have attacks now.
They're helping. GG, but I was going to say, especially considering that Stargate Oprah just aren't as popular anymore, I kind of was worried Terrans would forget to look for those.
Well, folks, we're going to go to a quick break here as we get Game 3 loaded up. This may be another 3-0. Fingers crossed that won't be the case, but see if Hurricane can fight back in the third map. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Alright folks, we're back, but you're only seeing our faces for a second because we're going to hop into Neon Violet Square. Possibly one of the most broken maps to make it to the live version of the game, but we'll talk about that more in a moment. Let's get into this best of 5. Spawning here to the lower right side, we have the blue Protoss Hurricane.
In the top left, as the red Terran, he is jjakji.
There's a lot I want to talk about for Protoss changes, because I guess this really did catch a lot of people off guard, and we saw that through chat. But before I do, I gotta do some proper shout outs because we had quite a few people come and sub. And oh, by the way, it looks like Streamlabs now updates for gifted subs because now it says BaseTradeTV has gifted a sub tier 1 to Up a Tree Zelda. So what up, Sal? Good to see you in chat. I hope you had a lot of fun with co-op with Nate. And I hope maybe you'll consider playing with maybe me sometime. I don't know. But SC2 Bren comes in for 2 months with a Prime sub to say, you guys have done for StarCraft what Tom Hanks did for Private Ryan. I will always heart you. Well, thank you very much for that, I guess. That's an old movie reference, man. Then we had... Did
he make it better? Like, I don't actually understand.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom Hanks carried that movie pretty hard.
Oh, okay.
Thank you as well to, and I'm going to say this wrong, I'm going to get my best shot here, Mutzengot. Thank you for the Prime sub. Bronze Saint SC2 came back for 21 months. Sived Our Sid V60 came back for a second month in a row. Taco Stuff came for 11 to say, oh la la. And thank you guys all. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, but that should be a good recap on everybody who we did have come in and sub today. Also, I have to ask, because I saw SC2 Brand make this offhanded comment earlier, did you forget Stim in an important game or something, or what was that about?
Well, it wasn't that important of a game, but I did forget Stim. I just played it out like TY and built a bunch of extra command centers and ended up being okay. Really, I had influence from like Yumiho when he forgot Stim. You know, it's just like, I can make this work.
Nice. Well, there's a lot of Colossus stuff I'll let you cover in a moment. I want to touch base on the Templar change, because the Templar change was really, really interesting to me for a couple of different reasons. Oh, hello, CB. So, for those who don't know, High Templar now have an auto attack. It's weak. It doesn't have very much range to it, and you got to see it shoot once or twice at the end of the game there. But one of the big things that it does is, beforehand, if you had a Protoss army, you A moved forward and Templar win it, they would just walk to the front line. There was nothing keeping them in the back. This auto attack keeps them from kind of derping to the front line. It's not the damage that I think is cool. It's the fact that they don't AI themselves to death now through bad micro and poor mistakes like that. That is really a big buff to them.
Yeah. And people were pretty smart when that was first announced. I think everyone kind of like realized that was really the buff. Because no one really cared about the damage. The damage is so minimal that it's never going to be the difference of winning a base trade or not. So I think that was also Blizzard's like actual intention, to make it a little bit easier to F2. Same with surveillance mode a little bit too. Like surveillance mode's good and all, but it also stops it from being F2.
The thing is though, the F2, it's really interesting the way they did this to me, because F2 is something that most pros have worked out of their system, and it's not a concern. But F2 is amazing utility-wise for new players in the game who don't have all those controls down pat. So it's a good way to, in a weird way, buff F2 without it affecting the pro scene.
Yeah, a little bit. You definitely see even like TY, for instance, F2 every now and again. But yeah, you're right. But the Colossus change, so I thought this was the last patch, because I guess they talked about the damage increase, but it actually was implemented in this patch. So what I said about the cheap breaks at the relance, the range, that was true. But now the damage is like +5. It's like reduced normally, but then it's increased versus light or something like that. I think someone pasted the exact quote, but Colossus got a surprising number of changes, which I was talking about. Like, to remember all of them was a little difficult. I think they got 4 in total, when some of these other things only got like 1 or 2, for instance.
4
an
in
attempt
total
to make
for
the
the
Colossus.
foreigners.
For the 4 what?
They got 4 in total for the foreigners.
Oh, I mean, like that was a buff to the foreigners, so like they used that much. Damage changed from 12 to 10 +5 light. Yeah, so I was right about that. But I guess the upgrades got like affected both as well now, so I didn't realize that was a problem. But anyways, some attempts to make the Colossus a little bit better against, I think, specifically Lings and Hydras, because that was plaguing Protoss for a little while, but I don't know if they'll ever make the Colossus a very fun unit, and it still isn't really finding its place here in the new patch either. We saw Hurricane go for a couple, but if Zest is really the guy that's leading the way and we all should copy Zest, then you don't need Colossus. Yeah, he definitely proved that.
Well, I love this little side attack that's been set up. There's a lot of cool things in, I guess, doodads about the map. These little, I've been calling them pachinko machines, but apparently that's not a phrase that's widely known. But these filters, each of these pink blocks is a physical blocker, so walking through them, not easy. And as we actually saw on cast, an Ultras doesn't fit at all, so 2 Marauders just kind of dancing in and out of the mousetraps. But this side attack and the side hallway never got utilized, so just play the Marines back and grouping up for one consolidated push.
Yep. No, like Helen run bys or Widowmine drops here, just good old, units trying to go up against the Stalkers. But, same thing for Hurricane. Hurricane didn't bother with the Stargate opener, which didn't really work out last game. He did go for pure Blink Stalkers as fast as possible. But he is a little bit trapped, so a lot of those damage Stalkers actually get caught by those backside Marines, end up being really important to that engagement. And jjakji is already doubling the army supply. Can Hurricane hold on to his 3rd base? He's just going to buy enough time with these Stalkers as opposed to ideally get some type of reinforcements, but they're dying.
I mean, this a shield battery, a couple more would be better. Also, big shoutouts to BaseTradeTV for gifting a sub to LithiumX4900, shouting this out live on stream to prove that it is in fact live and put any doubt to rest.
Well, jjakji, I feel like he should have just gone after the third base by now, but probably scared of, what happened to Hurricane happening to him, which is getting sandwiched between the stalkers.
Can we talk about Eagle frickin' Eyes jjakji here, seeing that observer on the fly while he was chasing and picks that off? That was actually really cool.
I love that jjakji is actually taking out the observers, because none of the other Terrans were, but
Right.
Hurricane's also not gone for 5 like the other Protoss.
That's actually a big... it doesn't sound like much if you guys are just watching this game, but if you saw all of our games cast over the last couple days, you'll understand why that is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh no. Because Yuzzy is also not convinced that this is live. I guess I'll have to prove it to him too.
Damn, son.
Damn, son. Of course, if you guys want a chance to get a sub gifted to you as well, don't forget you can message Jibby25. He's taking random comments. He wants to know why you love BaseTradeTV, and he's rewarding those people with subs here and there as well.
Yeah, cool dude. Very cool.
No, I'm not convinced either, Rifkin. Not gonna work, guys. Not gonna work.
jjakji probably has a game-winning push. We saw Zest actually take on a 20 army supply deficit, though, so maybe not. He's boosting over the rest of his reinforcements, though, and looking for that push.
Oh, actually, this is another person I'm going to pluck out of chat real quick. Poppy Rider has actually been a really supportive person in the past. So, Poppy Rider, please allow me to do the kindness of giving you a sub here.
That's a lot of immortals. I don't think jjakji can actually break through this.
If he had a concave, he could, but not through a choke, not through a ramp like this.
Yeah, all these force fields. A little bit awkward, but doing the job anyways. Splintering off jjakji's armies that he has to pull back.
Also, I guess I'm not going to be shouting out gifted subs from us, but from other people we will. I would like to thank Sean DeWolf, because now I know how to say his name and not be awkward about it, for the 100 bits. Would a Rifkin drop here be called... Nope. Nope. Nope.
Rap.
Just saw a Rifkin drop, full stop. That's how you stop a sentence dead in its tracks.
Yeah. So, jjakji has fallen way behind in the upgrades. And that's problematic. Only just now starting +2 weapons.
I'm torn about this though, because he does have a huge army supply late, and I think having like 30 extra Marines is better than having +2 necessarily in some situations, but falling behind in general is still not a good thing. Also, Lithium, I was just teasing to make fun of chat, but thank you for the 1,000 bits. This is Rifkin in the house. Well, thank you very much, dude.
Oh, Storm is done. Side Templars are waiting.
6 damage a shot. Watch out, world.
Ha! That shield battery just negated all of the rudder damage. Cool idea, jjakji.
I love too because the camera part didn't see the shield battery. You see the laser reach out.
Yeah.
jjakji got super wrecked though.
Yeah, demolished here. Now his supply doesn't dip down that far, but like he was supposed to have a decent position. Easily broken that many losses by Hurricane. Now jjakji is the one running back through these little slots very awkwardly to a 4th base that's not yet a planetary. It's gonna be a hard hold.
Another 1,000 bits coming from Lithium. Thank you very much for that, dude. Apparently I need to do more sub-gifting because karma is a thing. Command Center is lifted. There's going to abandon ship. If the Liberator gets a lot of kills here, that'd be great, but it's taken out immediately, so no chance for that. 2 more Liberators and a lot of Marauders. So far away from 2 that a choke is really his only opportunity to fight at all.
Hurricane did not have a warp prism, but I believe that's speeding over right now, and that was probably the biggest stop to the push, something that jjakji absolutely is desperate for. It's Hurricane to back off. I think a Liberator just sieged up in Hurricane's back base, but there's a ton of Stalkers. This isn't even all of Hurricane's army on the front lines.
And 3-3 is going to be I just realized if he chronoed 3-3 twice, he'd probably get it just as Joshy was finishing 2-2.
Yeah, he's not chronoing out his upgrades all the time, but if he did, he can get it pretty stupidly fast.
We should actually talk about that too, because if you guys don't know, Chrono Boost is now like a cast thing. It's not a permanent thing. We haven't really covered this for the new folks who haven't become accustomed to the patch. So it is cooldown based again, and it's more powerful. On top of this, you can also recall a whole army to a Nexus. That's the second ability it has here. It's a global cooldown of 2 minutes though, so you can't just like spam it on each Nexus and constantly recall. But oh man, another 1,000 bits coming from Lithium. I'm not gonna complain. I'm not sure what prompted this, but thank you very much. It says, ooh, the badge feels so good on my chat. Oh, is that a badge upgrade for you, dude? Congratulations.
Fancy.
Also, he's almost killed Jibby. Jibby's now down at like a 3rd health.
So, we do have a robotics play on the way, so I might see Colossus, but I want to talk more about Jokshi's composition. So besides falling behind in upgrades, which is, it seems to be a given if, you know, Hurricane, if any Protoss plays like Hurricane's playing right now, the lack of Widow Mines is something that we noticed from all Terrans except TY, and I feel like that's a big contributor as to why Liberators also don't look as strong anymore. The Stalkers tear them down a little bit faster, but also there's nothing stopping the Stalkers necessarily from blinking on top. The bio is still usually something to make them hesitate, but not enough lately.
This positioning, plus like a little bit of awkward control, that cost him an Archon. That was kind of nice for Joshy to pick up. Meanwhile, it looks like a Liberator set up here on the right side, so he's going to pick up about 6 probe kills. Not anything phenomenal, to be honest, but still, it's some damage done where he's been in a bad spot. So nice to see him find some way to get around this.
Warp-ins at home as opposed to on the front lines, especially if you take out the Warp Prism, that's all that's really important because Joshy needed room to breathe. He needs a stronger army supply against what Hurricane's throwing at him. But Joshy, while he's getting to maxed out with a lot of Liberators, finalizes with 3-3, Hurricane still has Storm, which Joshy's not really taking care of with EMPs anytime soon, and going into Colossus.
Jibby and Nervoth and several people in chat now with Lithium all have their cheer badge match their chat color. Is that intentional? That's actually amazing.
Uh-oh. Base trade?
Oh. Well, one command center going to go down would certainly prompt that to be the case. There's shield batteries all over the place, though, so actually getting kills here is going to be very difficult and very annoying. Well, he takes out the one pylon, though, so no shield batteries, no cannons. The storms aren't going to be hitting anything here. This doesn't look good for Hurricane back at home.
Does grab one of the storms. This is really important. Charge lot warp-ins will be a lot more effective if the storm hits.
He's also getting choked in through his cannons, so it's a good thing Joshy didn't actually tear those down after depowering them. Feedbacks on the medevac's going to cut out a lot of the healing, and looks like he will stop the attack, but at the same time, Hurricane had to also stop his attack. The storms were really good. A lot of SCVs died. I think Hurricane's in a better spot. No doubt about that in my mind, but he's not able to push it and kill Joshy. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, not yet. The Liberators were kept at home in a good choke, so it was definitely a little too powerful to move in on. But the trade still went massively in Hurricane's favor. I think he should still be happy about his position here.
Yeah, and these storms are proven to be really effective too. They're not killing a lot of the army, but they're keeping them at bay.
We're just not looking as strong as they once did. I mean, Colossus at some point in the meta was a response as well. But now I don't even think they're necessary. I'm surprised Hurricane's bothering to get them. Maybe Tempest would have been an easier option along with Stalkers.
So,
Lithium?
Yeah, Lithium's been cheering bits while we've been talking here. Quite a bit too. Another 1,000, followed up by 2,900. It says, I think I look better in red. I love this. This is like putting on outfits, man. We're going shopping together. Also, Nervoth says his is from when we got people to change names for the color, and it's just coincidence. Okay, that's kind of cool. But yo, Lithium, thank you for joining in the 10,000 bit club, dude.
Awesome. Really wants
these Liberators and this particular part of the map are actually a really sick pairing. The Stalkers can't get on top of these properly, and if they blink in, then they can't blink out. However, while that's been a point of contest, this is actually not so good here. The natural base does get broken. The Liberators were previously keeping this choke safe, and looks like another command center is about to go down.
Hurricane finally getting the edge over Joshy. The first 2 games did not look nearly as strong as this one, and I think it is to note because of how Hurricane opened. This time without a Stargate, that feels very unnecessary nowadays. Rather with just Stalkers. He did almost lose. I mean, you gotta remember that. The Stalkers all died. He was down 30 army supply.
Yeah.
But Joshy, I feel, mishandled that. He should have just gone for the third base instead of chasing those stalkers.
Well, Hurricane will put a point on the board, but we do need to remind you that, of course, Joshy is up 2-1, so he's not exactly in danger yet. He's got 2 more games to fall back on. Also, Lithium changed his color to red to match the red. I like it. And then Caden Lives 67. Thank you for the new sub. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining the Base Trade Brigade. Quick reminder to all subscribers on the channel, every cast that we can, we send replay packs out, and this is no exception. We want you guys getting the chance to study from the best on the new patch, and you can see exactly what these guys are doing. If, like, let's say you play Terran, you want to see how Joshy plays, the best way to do that is through replays.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys are just joining in too, let's hop to this scene for a second, because this is where the brackets are currently at. We are still casting the second preliminary match, so there's 3 more best of 5s behind this. Winners match, losers match, all that goodness. But Jibby gifted a sub to Mort De Angelis. Actually, oh god, no. I just realized the worst thing we could do is have people gift subs to people with hard names to say. It's gonna be the worst.
I think there are worse sub gifts to get.
Well, it's like somebody with a really complicated name that's in chat that would never sub and never cheer bits. I would never have to worry about saying their name. But if one of our like subscribers who likes to troll us sees like a really complicated name, they could just like sub gift them just to make our lives worse.
If that's really how they want to play it, I'm ready.
All right, scores 2-1. You're watching the TING Open Season 4. This tournament brought to you thanks to TING. You guys should also check out the prize pool. We're now over $5,000. There's free promo codes you can use. You can find out more about that by typing !Matcherino in chat. And spawning here in the bottom left, we've got the red Protoss, Hurricane.
In the top right, as the blue Terran, it's Joshy.
I also would like to briefly address the fact that we do not play any commercial breaks intentionally during gameplay footage, guys. None have been played so far this stream, and in fact, it's been over 20 minutes since our last commercial break. So, if any of you guys get ads during game, you should be aware that when you join the stream for the first time ever, you get something called a pre-roll ad. We can't stop that. We don't have the power to turn those off. I would if I could, because I think pre-roll ads are fucking stupid. But outside of that, you shouldn't be seeing any ads whatsoever, and if you are, you should absolutely report it to Twitch, because that's not us doing it. Also, side note, Lithium, with his last contribution there through bits to upgrade into that nice red power suit, is, I guess, his boss attire, because he's now the bit boss. I didn't think Jibby would get killed in less than a week, but Jibby got killed in less than a week.
Hey man, people got them bits on bits.
Bits on bits on bits. Also, Wade17, thank you for the 2-month resub. He says, I'm a new Protoss player and I love learning from this channel. Keep up the good work. I'm surprised you learned anything from this channel because we never talk about the game. But thank you for the message.
And Protoss? Oh, let's talk about that.
Actually, there's a small element of that I do want to address, though. And I tweeted this in an angrier way, so I'm going to say this in a calmer, more chill way now. BaseTradeTV, for me at least, my goals with it and all these things, it really is, it's a couple of friends talking about StarCraft 2 and all of us hanging out. Sure, it's not the pro WCS broadcasting scene or anything like that, but I do hope that, you know, our game knowledge of what we know generally, plus like whatever we do for just hanging out, does actually help you guys become more informed, whether it's an odd tidbit here about the Colossus or the Templar, or just us talking about engagements that the pros have done. I mean, it's supposed to be a chill, relaxed setting, and that's sometimes I don't feel like other people realize that's the case.
A lot of people don't want to. I mean, they're gonna want to hate on whatever and just say that, you know, we're doing it wrong. So that's whatever.
Yeah, I'm
reading a lot of the new Reddit threads, and there's definitely one of them.
Yeah, the Chinese one was prompting a lot of stuff too. It's just a lot of, I think, people project what they want onto the channel, and you're free to want that. I'm never gonna say, oh, you should sit down and shut up because you want WCS casting, but it's like, it's just not what we're here to offer.
Not, yeah. No, the one I was talking about was some guy was just like, he was basically accusing us of not being friendly to newcomers, but in the weirdest way, man. He was like, we should really be teaching. Yeah, we should really be teaching the basics of StarCraft. They should be explaining why High Templars, you know, as a drop are different than Dark Templar. And I'm like, that that doesn't equate to basics to you. Like, what do you actually want from us? Which is nothing. You just wanted to brag on BaseTradeTV. But that's
I just like to talk about the game that I like to watch, man. Easy peasy.
Yeah, and if they really wanted a newbie stream, I mean, perhaps Blizzard should have done this. Perhaps that should have been a appeal I made at the summit. I don't know, but like an intro stream to StarCraft when free to play went live as a tournament, like could have been possible, but that's not what we're here to do. Be like, this is an SCV. This is called Patrol. It has a mineral.
It stands for Space Construction Vehicle.
Yeah, that's not what we're gonna do.
By the way, thank you very much, Saitin 1990 for the Prime sub, and also, whoa, back it up, because Kane Live 67 just Kriegasmed 5,000 bits and became the bit boss. Quickly, Kane Lives while you can, type ! boss glory and claim your secret boss prize if it's not on cooldown, because you just murdered Lithium. Lithium in that brand new, beautiful looking suit. Thank God he picked red, because I guess it matches all the blood stains that are in it.
Oh, God. Much appreciated.
I love this random Widowmine too, by the way, but there's no Oracle to catch and no Warp Prism coming out soon. The Observer, though, did see the medevac leave, so Stalkers are a little bit apprehensive on where to be, but looks like they are prepared to catch something if they can, and in the main, it's where they want to be.
Yeah. I think Hurricane realizing this is one of the stronger ways to open, but this actually still is, it gets more emphasis on the Robo than it is Twilight Council, still is on 2 bases for a little while longer. That quick 3rd base was simply just punished too much. Very quick Robo, though, too. Perhaps going into Colossus. Probably, I should say. Probably going to Colossus. I don't know if Disruptor would really be something people do unless it's paired up with a Warp Prism.
So, a couple of comments in chat, by the way. One of which I actually don't know how to handle. So first off, someone says, like, I can't believe I never knew what SCV stood for all these years. So there you go. Learning with BaseTradeTV. But secondly, Tispiz says, can you please explain what the blue and green stuff the workers are collecting is? And to be honest with you, I don't know. They're just minerals. It doesn't say what kind of minerals. It doesn't say what element they are. It doesn't say how they're processed to turn into resource and currency. I don't know how this works. My world's falling apart.
I'm sure there's some book that explains it.
Some super canon way to explain the mineral patches. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I haven't read many of the books lately. I read the most recent one that ended up not even being part of the actual universe, which is like really disappointing to learn. And it's, well, perhaps for the better because it really sucks. But anyways.
That's what you get for reading, nerd.
I know, right? But one of the things I'm always like tilted by is that people still think that all Marines are convicts that are brainwashed. And that's just simply not true. If that were true, then Raynor would have been brainwashed.
Or General Warfield.
Oh my God. What if they all are?
Maybe that's why he cut off his hair.
Oh my God. Anyways.
The attack towards the 3rd is going to be met with not much resistance, and this is a little bit scary. Hurricane's trying to push out the Colossus much faster than normal, and that would be good if it was out and good to go. Pair that up with a shield battery, and a Colossus is an awesome defensive unit, but okay, here it is, now joining the army.
Yeah. But a classic way to open, adding on the double forge though too, is once again going to give Hurricane much better upgrades in like 3 minutes here, 2-2. Finishing so much faster than that last game, possibly could happen again. Successfully gets to Colossus, you know, with Blink Stalkers, and jjakji's going to have a difficult time breaking this. I didn't even really consider the Blink Colossus versus Bio Viking.
That's not range of the scan.
Range. Yeah, barely. Dynamic, but that is a equally important dynamic that Stalker's now heavily changed, right? Like Viking should be going down a lot faster.
You can't really hit and run with Vikings when you're getting picked off by the Stalkers from the ground. And again, reiterating for those who don't understand, because we've been talking a lot about Stalkers, but I guess we haven't really highlighted this. They have had their damage changed. I think, again, overall, like if they're attacking a target for 30 seconds, it's the same overall damage as before, but it's been just prioritized differently. Now they have a slower attack, but a much stronger attack. So a hit and run tactic ends up being a lot more effective, and in that way is kind of a super buff to these Stalkers, which are highly mobile units with that blink.
This is a difficult position, I think, for jjakji already. Without doing that early game damage that we saw in the 2 games that he won, he does seem to be having trouble in the long macro games. And funnily enough, it's jjakji with a much better vision this game.
I just realized, so Kane Lives just taxed everybody in the channel with his boss powers. Good on you, man. But I just realized Jibby, it's a good thing he's a real benevolent boss, I guess. Because if he had taxed everybody yesterday while he was boss for 10,000 viewers, Oh my god, the upset of power. He would have had so many macros.
Good point.
Looks like one zealot here is going to work as a scout, so it's not quite an observer, but it still alerts that the army's coming. Also, no concussive shells for Joshy. That might be a mistake. No, he does have it. Excuse me, I take that back. It didn't look like it.
He should have a little blue trail, too, at the end of it. I meant to look for that.
They get a visual upgrade for concussive shells?
Yeah, that was included in the notes, but I don't know if it was actually implemented.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'll try and keep an eye out for that. Kind of be nice if they got their twister shots back or something for the upgrade. That would be cool.
Yeah, but I guess it's never gonna happen. Joshy's in trouble, man. He's trying to get the Liberators again, but Colossus do fairly well with the... They don't deal with the Liberators. This is like getting like tired of explaining, right? But they don't deal with the Liberators. They deal with the bio underneath, which leaves more other options to deal with Liberators like Blade Stalkers, especially now.
You just said we'd look for it, and I didn't look for it.
But I feel like Hurricane actually has a very good composition against what Joshy's doing. Like an especially good composition, considering that Stalkers are doing a decent job alone against Liberator compositions.
For me, I don't know what happened last game, but it's happened again this game where Joshy's upgrades are just screwed over by his really late armory timing. And I talked about the army supply being better, might be better. Okay, that's great when it's like an 80 supply to like 60 supply, but when you're up 10 supply without upgrades, I don't think that's worth the stall and the delay.
It used to be such a powerful move to hold off on upgrades in exchange for more and more Liberators, but it doesn't feel that way anymore. Let's see how this engagement goes down. Storm and Colossus both available. There you go.
It looks really weird as blue. I actually don't like that.
Oh.
And it's cool it's got a visual upgrade.
Yeah, it's pretty small. I mean, I barely even notice it.
Yeah, but now that I've seen it, I can't unseen it. You know, it's like Mario Sunshine.
Alright. Well, this ends up being pretty awkward engagement every single time Hurricane's pushed in here. Of course, going down a ramp into a choke or going up against these supply depots in a choke. Joshy's been very on point about moving his Liberators, but eventually he's been taking a lot of damage. Like, eventually there's not going to be a Medivacs to heal. I think 2 more just popped out. And Hurricane's splash damage is really going to start cutting into his army supply.
I love these turrets coming down. Maybe they'll get some shots off of the Colossus, maybe not, but it helps with the observers, and Joshy's been pretty adamant about that. While this goes on, though, attack at the top left's going to find not much in terms of defense. Focuses... Shield battery is so cool.
Yeah, right?
11 Marauders down out DPS, the shield battery.
Yeah. Hurricane does manage to bypass most of the Liberators. Force field's pretty good.
He's going to give away quite a few Stalkers for this, though, so any new Liberators that come out still might end up having the power for this. Maybe not. These ones at the backside are getting a couple of shots here and there. With the force fields running out, SCV's pulled away, going to try and live through the Colossus shots. Hurricane, though, in the meantime, does lose his 4th base to this.
I think he just bulked up reinforcements at his 3rd. Only a few, a couple of Zealots, but the Marauders aren't A-moved. That's super awkward.
They're just moved.
Yeah, that's you don't see that too often. Production is officially camped at this point, but there's no more Stalkers left. These Liberators are getting a lot of shots off.
Storm actually, SCVs are pulled. That's really weird. So the SCVs are killing the Stalkers underneath. It's the recall.
Oh. Recall takes so long on this side of the map. It's instantaneous on this side, on the Nexus, but loses a lot of units waiting for that to happen.
He does get the 3 Colossus out of something that they were guaranteed to die for otherwise. He got a lot of SCV kills. Downside is, though, the bases weren't punished the same way Hurricanes were. So I don't know that Joshy is going to be hurting that bad from it. I mean, look at the mules. Look at the income graph, right? Like, yeah, Hurricane took a big spike with all the SCVs being pulled, but Joshy's right back up there.
Certainly one of the problems of that is Hurricane losing all the Stalkers, so Liberators could be a problem in the future. But he has already invested into 3-3, and if he plays it smart and just waits for more Stalkers, I think he can still take on an army. But he's actually moving forward here without a Warp Prism, without Stalkers. It almost feels like he's asking the army away if there's like 4 Liberators. There are 4, but they're out of position.
Yeah, they're rushing back now. I mean, the Liberators, even just in like anti-air mode, could attack the Colossus. They don't even necessarily have to siege up. But while this goes on, Joshy's not sieging because he's busy dancing around storms on the other side of the map, so he's going to take some losses. And, oh, those Liberators are not going to get a chance to set up. It's 1 Stalker. He's running away from 1 Stalker.
I think he just realizes a little too dangerous. Like, what if there is a Warp Prism? go into the natural, get on that choke, get on the high ground. It's a little bit safer. But he's actually a couple of zealots already in the natural. One zealot in the natural, please. Come on now. It's going to get like 4 SCVs. Oh, come on now. Okay.
He saves the command center though, so it is lifted and saved. He's got energy, so dropping mules again here momentarily. But Jokshi's supply has been cut down severely, mostly through SCVs. His army's still holding up, and Liberators have a very interesting role in the game, but I'm very worried that this economy will not be easy to band-aid. He used his band-aid through the mule drops before that attack. He doesn't actually have, like, what, maybe 3 or 4 mules he could drop here?
Yeah, and Hurricane's 4th Nexus is done again, so you can see just his income spiking up way ahead of Joshy. Joshy, I really thought had a good opportunity if his Liberators were actually focused on, but dropping at the same time, Hurricane was able to do a lot of damage without any anti-air. Now he has anti-air. The Stalkers have been rebuilt.
Also, sorry, we're not ignoring subs, guys. It's just crazy action happening. We'll do some shout-outs here in just a sec. This is going to probably determine the fate of the game. Joshy's army supply is so low, and the Liberators get focused down. Storms blanket the Marauders, and this game looks like it's about to be tied up 2-2.
Looks like it. Those Liberators were what looked to be an okay position, ended up being a very not okay position. The Stalkers are still able to cut down every single one, and then their Liberator circle's not even in range of the Colossus. Very awkward. Joshy.
Range 9 looks longer than range 9.
Really?
I'm not saying there's a bug. It's just it looks weird from that ramp and the way it was attacking. But yeah, there was some drops that were going out. They're gonna get out there again. You're not gonna trade this out at this rate.
Nah. His one hope was like the Liberators to no anti-air.
That
was a very temporary
GG.
hope. GG.
All right, Hurricane does tie things up 2-2, and we're gonna go to a commercial break. But before we do, I gotta give some thanks to BitGhost and Biologist Gamer, 1 Prime sub and 1 brand new sub. Thank you both for joining us here on the channel. In fact, it was BitGhost who said, I'm in Shanghai this week, and you guys are saving my evenings, so here's a sub. Hey man, thank you for joining us from Shanghai, I guess. But as mentioned, a small commercial break of 2 minutes, and we'll get here to the 5th and final game between these two players. All right, folks, welcome back. We're hopping right into Odyssey for Game 5. Things are tied up 2-2 here in the TING Open, and the winner of this will go on. But it's actually, I should mention, the losers match that'll play first. So the winner will go on to fight against Impact. But after this series, a best of 5 of the loser versus Keen, and I hope this isn't going to be a TvT. I don't want our 2 Terran hopes to be the ones to knock each other out.
Seems like it might be that way.
Yeah, we'll find out. In the bottom right, he's done a great job coming back from a 2-0 deficit, now tied things up 2-2. In Game 5, we have the red Protoss, Hurricane.
In the top left, as the blue Terran, it is Joshy.
Joshy's upgrades have been a concern these last 2 games in a row. Do you think it'll happen a 3rd time?
Well, absolutely. Even amongst the most macro-oriented Terrans, which I guess we've seen like 4 or 5 Terrans at this point, so maybe it's not the widest net, but amongst all of them, they've always fallen behind in upgrades. This seems to be just a fact of the new Chrono Boost and the new freedom allowed to Protoss in the early game.
It's not just like we need a large sample size, because the Terrans we've been watching have actually been the best Terrans. You got Innovation, TY, Gumiho, Keen, Joshy, like... These aren't random Masters players we're trying to get like a sample size for. These are some of the best Terrans.
Yeah, and TY is very, at times, macro-oriented, like quick 4 bases, nothing but emphasis on the upgrades, and you still would fall behind on someone who scouted and said, oh, we're playing a macro game, let me Chrono Boost the hell out of this, right? So that just seems like a fact. I'm not entirely upset with that. You know, this isn't like cry balance, because that has been some of the other matchups for Terrans for a long time. Zergs at one point were getting faster upgrades.
Put your
no,
factory.
he put the factory at home. He put the factory at home.
No!
And Protoss were at some points in the last 7 years also still getting faster upgrades. So it's not that I'm really like concerned about. It's just that Liberator compositions look so weak now. They don't look good at all anymore. And that's what's like, oh, okay.
Didn't they also have their vision nerfed too?
Yeah, so their vision like as a whole was nerfed, but the target still has the same range or something weird like that. Someone wants to copy paste it.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he goes for it. One of the things I'm kind of a little bit frustrated for, and this falls more, I think, Terran in general, not specifically Joshy, is you get caught up doing the same thing. Like, okay, Liberators didn't work a majority of these games now. Don't go Liberators again. Consider doing something new or different, but you know that they won't because they're so used to playing just bio, or not practicing with mech, or not mixing in this, that, and the other. I'm not saying that I even know the best way to go about it, but if we're going to just real talk, you know, Joshy going for Liberators, no ghosts, he should be punished by storms, you know?
Yeah, there's that. As I recall, TY wasn't exactly going nothing but a lot of Liberators. I think there were some games he tried mass Liberators, but I'm like really trying hard to think here, as you know, one of the only guys that's really showing us the way. He included Widow Mines, which Joshy has never done, so that's obviously one big difference. And then I think the other one is that TY did try mech, so that's cool too. And TY did add on ghosts. That's what I was trying to think of. Like, he definitely added on ghosts in a lot of these games. It was mostly bio trades.
Oh no.
Which sometimes went in his favor.
The Reaper gets caught, and Hurricane was briefly distracted. Hellions will get some good shots. Your 7 probes dead. Lighting up for a few more, goes up to 9. 10. Ugh.
I guess the easiest way to kill a Hurricane is to get 2 Hellions.
Apparently. The Reaper got an okay scout as well. He saw, not a finished Twilight Council, but he saw a Twilight Council on a Robo, so I mean, Blink being what it is, as prevalent as it is, you don't even need to scout to assume it's going to be Blink.
Yeah. Well, the scout can be important because recall the Stargate game. Joshy just did a tank push for that one.
True,
and it worked out really well. But yeah, if you didn't scout it, you could assume it's Blink and just be like, well, okay then. What am I going to do?
We missed a pretty nice sub, by the way. I'm sorry about this. Thank you very much to Squishling. 21 months, long time to go back to the channel, saying best weekly StarCraft 2 cast. Weekly? Daily? I guess it all depends on how much you tune in, but we put up a heck of a lot of StarCraft 2. I'm glad to know somebody appreciates it. It should be mentioned, we do have 2 days off coming up, though, which will be nice. So the round of 16 for the TING Open will play after the weekend. So we'll be back, is it after the weekend or Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday. So Friday, Saturday we have off, and Sunday is when we're going to be doing the round of 16.
Fun. No Terrans, yay.
Maybe. And look, as long as it doesn't come down to like a PvP semifinals guaranteeing a PvP finals, I'm okay with it. And let's see Zerg fight back.
I mean, I prefer PvP over ZVZ still. So
oh, sure, but I mean, I prefer PvZ to both.
That's true. That's sometimes we'll see. We're really gonna see. Just like coincidentally, Ting being like smushed into the 2 weeks after the most recent patch is like it's gonna be a very volatile tournament.
Yeah, if only we'd been given some sort of knowledge that there was potentially a patch coming at a certain date. Months ago, we could have planned around it, but
no, impossible.
God forbid.
Yeah. So how's this game going? Hurricane went for, probably the best opener that Protoss have right now, right into Blink. The last opener he did last game wasn't bad either, the Colossus Blink, but yeah, different ways of playing. Basically not Stargate opener, which is letting him gain control of the Stalkers. Joshy had a nice bio ball, but still had to run the heck away. And I don't know when he's going to get a chance to really apply that pressure.
Well, Charge is going to be finishing up shortly, and while Stalkers are pretty good objectively, and they'll be doing blinks here and there, Zealots are going to be what starts shredding this army apart.
Hurricane did, I think, delay upgrades a little bit to get charged that fast. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but Josh is actually an upgrade lead is what I'm really paying attention to. Like, oh, one time in the game, perhaps.
Well, I'm not sure if that'll carry through to later, but at least having +1 this early will be really nice because he does have an army supply lead to pair up with that. So it's not like he sacrificed, oh, I don't have any Marauders for this. Also, is he going to see the Observer? He's been so good at spotting these things so far. I guess he misses this one. So these will see the drops heading towards the main then.
He still doesn't have concussive shells. And dropping into the main is going to be an instant death. Oh, thank God.
Good scan. Good reaction to the scan, actually, is probably the better way to phrase that.
Yeah. I'm glad that he scanned. If he finds this little Sentry Immortal army, that would be a lot of important units taken down very quickly, but Chargelot's warped in, protected by the shield battery, not going to be an opportunity. Joshy has to leave.
This is really unfortunate because Joshy's losing out on that +1 timing that would have, I don't know, traded well, maybe got a base snipe, but so much this goes again, kudos to Hurricane. He's actually got those observers out. We've mentioned the other pros were all doing this, and we saw Hurricane distinctively not, but that one observer probably saved his life this game.
Probably, yeah. The army of Hurricane is looking quite deadly now. That's going to be paired up with 1-1. War Prism isn't going with the army aggressively. Oh, maybe it is.
We do actually have Widow Mines out, though. This is going to be huge. One of the problems with Bio is you will eventually chew through Zealots, but they take so long to chew through. Widow Mines speed up that process, and even if they're picked off immediately after firing, just hitting the Zealots, removing the shields, is huge.
Yeah. Still think they're an okay addition, especially for the cost and how fast they produce, but... See if they actually get any of those really nice hits. Hurricane doesn't have the War Prism to reinforce here, but he has a recall. Things get dangerous, and his War Prism went into the main base. Exactly what he does. He recalls before the army gets on top of him.
Beautiful ways to use that Sentry and abuse the Sentry, to be honest. Paired up with that recall, 19 SCVs died, and of course some annoying stalls in the main don't make this any better. Joshy now going to feel very pressured to go for an attack. I don't blame him, because he just took a lot of losses at home. The whole base was gutted.
Yeah, Hurricane, without much fear here, is on 4 bases on his way to 2-2. Only needs to be afraid of a mass Doom drop, which that's why the Observers are here. His recall is on cooldown, so this is like especially scary time not to have Stalkers warped in your main base. This is how, like, I think Ryung got one of his victories, was forcing a recall kind of prematurely almost, but the warping's happening now.
I do like this attack going north. If this actually ends up faking him out for a distraction to the gold base, then this Doom drop has a lot of potential. And just like anyone else, oh no, oh feedbacks.
He's like really thinking about it, right? He doesn't quite know where the army is, I think, is the real problem. That is something he could drop on, but what if the Stalkers are right there behind it? Then he just wasted all that supply.
Oh no! Medevac's on the wrong side of the fight. This does leave some opening up here, but looks like reinforcements are being warped in, and the Liberators actually aren't going to be that great.
There's 3 shield batteries to really help out here. No Medevacs to have like an equalizing, you know, healing factor, I suppose, and 1 Liberator's left over after all is said and done, probably.
Marauder damage is so good.
Totally.
Marauder damage is almost as cool as the shield battery.
Yeah, I could say that shield battery's cooler. Hurricane's going to be on 2-2 in just a second here, and Joshy still without an armory. He has one. He just hasn't used it. Okay, there we go.
So there's a lot of complaints to be made about the shield battery, and I really, like, half the time we're talking about I'm being sarcastic, but half the time I'm sincere. Like, shield batteries are something I'm glad are in the game. It's just a matter of, like, are they okay with where they're... Why? Anyways, if they're gonna be needing to be tweaked at all. And I think right now the amount they heal is so incredibly rapid. It reminds me of when Medevacs had that upgrade, and you know, they would turn their healing beam blue, and you couldn't kill basically whatever they were healing. Oh my god, the shield battery beam is blue. The shield battery is the upgraded Medevac.
Oh my god. Protoss stole the technology.
Well, it's like Blizzard's like, this is too good, we gotta nerf it out of the game. Let's give it to Protoss.
Alright. Things are not looking good for our Terran. Hurricane is in a dominating position with dominating upgrades. Has probably, I think he has a recall by now too, in case things do get topsy-turvy. He does. It doesn't actually matter. He has storms and feedback.
His only chances go for an attack, and it doesn't look that attack has a lot of potential. Man, Zealots can take hits. Not until you see like 20 Marauders shooting them that you're like, damn, those are tanky units.
Well, storms really aren't used there.
If enough Marauders live, they can shoot through these pylons, but I still think the recall is an option. There it is. Recalling to the 3rd, aka the gold. 4th, excuse me.
Yeah. Well, now he's sort of trapped. Medevacs are dying. Feedbacks could kill a lot of these too if he tries to go over in High Templar. And he didn't even kill the natural. It's just like... This is not equalizing damage. Okay, he finally grabs that one, but the cost of all his units.
Oh my god. And of course,
All of
Medex
his
will die on
units.
the way out.
GG.
Rip. Hurricane takes the series. He'll move on to the winners match. So congratulations to him. He'll fight off against Impact. But now, unfortunately, we're going to have to go watch two Terran brothers kill each other. So it's going to be a TvT of Keen versus Joshy. Best of 5 when we get back. We got to go to a word from our sponsors. This is paid advertisement, guys, and without it, the tournament wouldn't happen. So I know some of you are going to hate it. So if you're really going to time out, we'll be back in 5 minutes. But for those who are kind of interested or you want to support the tournament, TING is a really good, reliable, transparent, legitimate service. And I'm very happy to be working with them, frankly. So I hope you guys will at least check out the ad. If you guys are in the United States, this is specifically for you because TING is a US only mobile phone service. And if you're convinced, curious, you want to learn more, be sure to go over to bttv.ting.com because if you do that URL, you'll get $25 in credit. Plus, it lets TING know, hey, you came from the StarCraft 2 tournament. So sit tight, guys. We'll be back. We'll let them talk about their rates because TING doesn't do plans. They do rates.